Welcome back to Helper Dad. Today, we're diving into how to clone a Bitbucket repository directly within Visual Studio Code. Cloning, in essence, is the process of creating an exact copy of a remote repository from a service like Bitbucket onto your local computer. Doing this through VS Code offers several advantages, streamlining your workflow and keeping everything conveniently in one place. This tutorial is geared towards users in 2025, so we'll assume you already have some basic familiarity with both VS Code and Git. Before we begin, make sure you have VS Code installed, Git is installed and properly configured on your system, and, of course, that you have a Bitbucket account ready to go. Start. You'll need to obtain the repository URL directly from Bitbucket. Begin by navigating to your specific Bitbucket repository on the Bitbucket website. Once you're there, look for the Clone button or a button with similar wording, which should be prominently displayed on the repository page. After clicking the Clone button, you'll be presented with a choice of clone URLs, and for beginners, the HTTPS option is generally recommended. Select this HTTPS URL, and then copy it to your clipboard. Let's get started by opening Visual Studio Code and accessing the integrated terminal. First, launch the Visual Studio Code application. Once it's open, navigate to the View menu at the top. From the View menu, select Terminal to open the integrated terminal within Visual Studio Code. Alternatively, you can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl plus backtick on Windows or CMD plus backtick on Mac to open the terminal. Finally, make sure that the terminal is using Git Bash or whichever Git terminal you prefer to work with for cloning your Bitbucket repository. Right, now let's talk about navigating to your local directory. To do this, you'll want to use the cd command, which stands for Change Directory, in your terminal. You'll use this to navigate to the specific location on your computer where you want to store the cloned repository files. For example, you might type cd documents/projects if you want the repository to live in your projects folder inside your documents folder. Just make sure that the directory you're trying to navigate to actually exists before you try to change to it, otherwise the command won't work. To actually clone the repository, you'll need to execute the git clone command. In the terminal, type git clone followed by the repository URL that you previously copied from Bitbucket. Make sure to replace the placeholder repository_URL with the actual URL. Once you have the command entered correctly, press the Enter key. You'll then be able to observe the cloning process directly in the terminal output, so you can monitor the progress of copying the repository to your local machine. See, the cloning process is complete. A new directory bearing the name of the repository will appear in the location you specified. To open this in Visual Studio Code, go to the File menu, then select Open Folder. Navigate to the newly created directory that contains your cloned repository and select it. Visual Studio Code will then open the entire cloned repository, allowing you to begin working with the files. That the cloning process is complete. It's time to verify that everything went smoothly and that you can perform basic Git operations. First, take a look at the VS Code source control panel. That's the Git icon in the activity bar. You should see that it recognizes the repository and is tracking any changes. To confirm that you can work with the files, go ahead and open one of the files from the cloned repository, make a small modification, and then use the source control panel to stage that change. Next, commit the staged change with a clear and descriptive message. Finally, if you have the appropriate permissions for the repository, push your committed change back to Bitbucket to ensure that your local version is synchronized with the remote repository. You encounter any issues during the cloning process, here are a few common problems and their solutions. First, if you receive a command git not found error, double-check that Git is properly installed on your system and that it's included in your system's path environment variable. Second, for authentication problems, review your Git configuration, paying close attention to your username and email, and think about using SSH keys for secure authentication. Third, with permission-related issues, make sure you have the necessary write access to the Bitbucket repository. And finally, if the cloning process is unusually slow, make sure that you have a reliable, fast internet connection. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Help or Dad. You've now successfully cloned a Bitbucket repository right into Visual Studio Code, giving you the power to work on the project locally. This setup enables you to track all your changes using Git and collaborate seamlessly with other developers through Bitbucket. We highly encourage you to explore more of the advanced Git features available, as well as the wide array of VS Code extensions, all designed to further enhance your coding workflow. Now that you have everything set up, it's time to start contributing to your project.